the way these fans support women's basketball is so special, and yeah, I mean, you all knew I was going to shoot a logo 3 for the record. Come on.
Recovered by Gabby Marshall. Here comes Clark. How will she go for history? There it is!
Caitlin Clark is a certified hooper. I don't care what anyone says. She just broke the all-time women's college scoring record. Funnily enough, she could lead both men and women in scoring. And this has fans questioning if she can become the greatest player to ever play women's basketball. And honestly, she has a shot, but her success is not guaranteed, and it's not of the easiest paths. First of all, she has to get drafted, and if she enters the draft or not is strictly up to her, so I'm not going to waste any more time on that, and we'll just move forward assuming that she enters the draft. So here's why Caitlin Clark has a chance to become the GOAT, no matter what team she joins. This will not only bring her self-success, but the entire WNBA as we know it success. To begin with, Caitlin Clark is already one of the most famous basketball players in the world, and for good reason. I hear people talking about her during my everyday life, and I don't talk basketball with that many people. And luckily, the draft is right around the corner on April 15th, where the Indiana Fever have won the sweepstakes for Caitlin Clark, so that's probably where she's gonna end up going, unless she chooses not to enter. But she has to enter, not just for her own sake, but literally for the entire league's sake. The WNBA has seen a spike in growth over the past couple seasons, now becoming a profitable and successful league. But the WNBA, as it stands right now, is at a point where it can either pull itself into the lifeboat of profitability forever, or it can just fall back into the water and drown back into the sea of irrelevancy. And it all comes down to Caitlin Clark. To start off with, whether you like it or not, the WNBA struggles with legitimacy issues as a league itself. It was a financial burden for a majority of its existence. Until recently, the WNBA has secured itself as a profitable league. But does this mean that they're set for the future? Well, the numbers say that the WNBA has actually doubled its viewership in games over the last 5 years, going from about 250,000 viewers a game to 500,000 viewers a game, while in-person average is just at about 6,000 a game. And this is where the league can begin to capitalize on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark will not only boost viewership, but also ticket revenue at home, and she will sell out road games because WNBA tickets are cheap across most cities, and because of how good Caitlin Clark is, people will definitely be going to their very first WNBA game just because of her. And I'm secretly just talking about me here. But none of this really answers why she can become the GOAT. First of all, the title for GOAT is pretty much up for grabs. Carusi is great and all, but the only thing that sets her apart is the longevity and the rings. So let's talk about how long Caitlin Clark can stay in the WNBA. And I'm just gonna say it right off the rip. She could have a LeBron type of longevity. Her game is not built around any of her athleticism, but it's strictly just skill, and she's a baller. She's not necessarily faster than everyone else, but she knows how to get by the best of them. She's also not solely dependent on creating with just the ball in her hands. She can go off ball and create shots that way. But that's only why she has the scoring record. Caitlin Clark is also a really good passer, averaging 8 assists a game for her college career, but she's also a high turnover player, and that worries me a little bit. It may average 8 assists, but it's on a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, and that's pretty much god awful. Rock bottom, if you ask me. 2-to-1. But if you look into it further on the court, some of these are just bad reads, and some of them are just her teammates' fault, or she just loses her handle. But not to worry, Caitlin is still a capable defender, averaging 1.7 steals and showing flashes of some advanced defensive potential. But to keep the pace of Caitlin's offense high and efficient, Caitlin pulls down 7 rebounds a game, not wasting any time between the big and the guard setting up the offense, rather leading to immediate action, and it produces positive results. All of this seems like it should translate pretty well, where she has a more controlled pace to her game, where she controls how fast the rest of the game moves. But some of this is just because of the system that she plays in. But let me quote James Harden here. I am the system. None of what the Hawkeyes are running is special. All right, let's be real here. All of this can be replicated in the WNBA, if not better. It's going to produce results for Caitlin Clark, and I think teams are going to realize that running your entire offense through Caitlin Clark is going to be way better than their offense right now. But the game is going to get more complex as she progresses, and there's going to be a learning curve. Hopefully there will be a learning curve, or else I'm just going to sound like a bloated head ass right now, and of course I am. But what will it take for Caitlin Clark to become the GOAT? Well, let's make a checklist. First of all, she's going to need the WNBA scoring record. Alright, she's going to need 3 or more rings, 3 or more MVPs, 10 or more All-NBA selections, 3 seasons where she's leading the league in scoring, maybe 1 all-defensive selection. Honestly, that's just a fun one. Just go out there and play some defense. That's all I want to see. 3 Olympic gold medals for Team USA. And she needs to spend at least 13 years in the WNBA. And with the shortened shot clock from college to the WNBA, her college averages should not be out of the realm of possibility for her. I do expect it to drop, but I think they'll get back up there eventually. So, what do you think? Do you think she can become the GOAT? Because honestly, she might be better than like 90% of the WNBA already. Or am I just being harsh? And just through the eye test, I'm going to assume that most of her game will translate to the WNBA pretty seamlessly. She's got a really smooth pace to her game. But Caitlin Clark can just choose to not go to the WNBA and return back to Iowa for 1 more season, which would pretty much shatter the entire hopes of future WNBA players and current WNBA players. Because one of the biggest incentives to not enter the WNBA is because the pay is shit. And the player agreement that the WNBA players have signed has a clause for a fat contract bonus, where if the league grows by over 20% each year, then every single player in the WNBA gets a revenue bonus. Not to mention the open opportunities from the media, but the WNBA still fails to reach that 20% growth number. They've done extremely well recently, don't get me wrong. Caitlin Clark could literally push them over that 20% number, and that can mean some serious life-altering money across the league, and the washing of the stigma that the players don't get paid well. Not to mention, on top of all of this, Caitlin Clark has a great personality, and she could easily become the face of the WNBA that they so desperately need, because right now, the biggest media story that the WNBA has ever received was one of your players turned into a political bargaining chip. Not putting anything down on Brittany Griner, but she shouldn't be the most famous person in the WNBA, and I don't think that's a strong take. Because having a strong face for your league is important, because that's when your league shows the most growth. In the NBA, things were exponentially better when MJ was here, when LeBron and the Currys were here. That's when you have seen the most growth. And this is exactly what the WNBA needs to replicate with Caitlin Clark. But ultimately, it all comes down to her, nobody else. It's all up to Caitlin Clark, and only her. She will decide how far she can take her basketball journey. I wish her the best of luck, and the best of luck with her health, and to have a long, lengthy career. We want to see some crazy shit happen, and please, let's see some crazy shit. Alright, but yeah, you let me know what you think. Can Caitlin Clark become the GOAT, or am I jumping to conclusions too fast? Because honestly, I don't think it's that far of a reach. I think she could definitely do it, but I'm also just going to assume that the next women's basketball prodigy is in training as we speak. But thank you so much for watching. If you watched till the very end, leave a like and go subscribe. I'm trying to reach that 300 number, and this channel's only been around for a little bit, so any support by any means means the world. If you want to see more, click this video right here that YouTube selected just for you. Again, thank you so much for watching. Good night.